Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiffany, and here we talk about all things money, travel, and motherhood. So today we have a special guest, Unique Huff, and she's going to talk to us about how to keep your identity after motherhood. So let's get right into it. Okay, so here we are, Unique.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hey,
An
thank you for
angel,
joining
daughter's
us.
here too.
Yeah, no problem. That's life with kids.
Yes, yeah,
Unpredictable. You never know what's gonna happen.
exactly. The goal was to put her in to sleep, but
Uh-huh.
she decided not to. So I just kind of roll with the punches with motherhood. So
Yeah, that happens all the time, right? There's a
yeah,
meeting and you're like, okay, I'm gonna schedule it around nap time, and then that
yeah.
day, nap time changes.
Every day it changes. Every day, literally. But thank you again for having us. I am truly honored to be here and even have this opportunity to speak on motherhood and maintaining my own identity through the never changing titles and job duties.
Yeah, so why don't you start by telling us a bit about yourself, like how many kids, how old are they? That just a background.
Okay, so I am 31 years old. I work for an amazing organization for kids. So it's a Christian ministry. And
Mhm.
so I say that I'm full time ministry, helping families stay at home, as
Uh-huh.
well as I've been married going on 5 years. 5 years in August, we'll be married. And it's crazy to say that because time goes by really fast. And going into marriage, we had our first son on our first year anniversary. So I have a
Wow.
3.5 year old.
Uh-huh.
So he'll be 4 in August, and then I have a 1 year old next month. So my first baby is a boy, and my
Uh-huh.
second one is a girl. So the perfect pair.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so how is it having multiples? And congratulations on being married 5 years.
Thank you, thank you. Honestly, it was. I thought like, okay, I had my son, and he wasn't like an easy traditional baby. He, we had him in the middle of COVID, so my husband
Mhm.
was with me during that time, and so I remember like going into like labor with my baby, my son, and they gave me an epidural. It failed. I felt
Oh,
everything, but when he came out, um, he just hollered. Like, and I remember doctors and nurses coming in asking, like, is everything okay with the baby? And I'm like, yeah, I just can't get him to stop crying. And that is how he was for the first 2 years of his life. He just hollered. And then as soon as he started to going to sleep throughout the middle of the night, we got pregnant with our baby angel. And so honestly, like, babies are a blessing from God, but in my head, I'm like, oh my God, we just got to a good spot with our son, and now I'm pregnant again. Can I handle, like having another baby? Of course, we're keeping our baby no matter what. And literally, she is the most easiest baby I've ever had. Like my son's a blessing too, and we love him. But my
uh-huh.
daughter, she like slept the first like week of her life, like she was just sleeping. Like she'll wake up and go to sleep, wake up and go to sleep. And so with my son, he's a mama's boy. He breastfed up until 2 years old. And so he was really close, but he built a strong relationship with my husband during that time. And it was easy when she was a little girl. Now that she's like able to run around her walker, and my son is, I don't know, going back to like wanting to breastfeed, although we do not. It is a challenge. Some days are it's really easy and like I'm rocking it, like okay, everyone's ate, everyone's healthy. And then other days it's like, can I survive? Let me go hide in the bathroom somewhere.
Yeah.
Because it's like some days I want to take a shower or like without hearing no one cry or someone touching me.
Yeah.
Like so
Knocking
it
on
is
the glass,
yes. Oh
knocking
my
on the
god.
shower door,
Oh my
crying
god.
outside the shower door.
Opening the shower door and trying to come in. like, like it it is a journey. It's a journey, but I love it. And the one thing I didn't do with my son, I didn't enjoy um, when having him. I thought it was like exhausting. It was COVID, so I was overwhelmed and I was anxious about everything. So
Mhm.
I didn't enjoy that process. And so I, with two kids, I'm looking to enjoy. I want to spend more time enjoying. Like, you know what, my kids are healthy.
Yeah.
They're, they're they are still alive. They're fed. They're good. I'm a good mother. My husband's a good father. And so I try to think like that more positively about motherhood and loving on them.
Yeah. Okay. Did you ever did you stay home for both kids or
So
one?
I have been so blessed with the jobs I've had. So with my son, um, I ran a shelter. So when kids were removed from when kids were removed from home, they're going to emergency shelter. So I ran that shelter. And so I worked that whole time, like going into the shelter, pregnant. People were getting having COVID, and so I still had to go. But then my job allowed me to work from home, like the last maybe month of my pregnancy, and then
Okay.
um, with him, I had only 3 months off, and then he was like, "You have to come back in. Yeah, this is not a remote job." And so I had to go back into work, into the office, and leave my son. And I didn't like speak on how I had postpartum, I had postpartum depression, and I had baby blues with my son. So everything I thought that I was doing, like I continued to cry because I thought like I wasn't doing anything right. Like
Right.
I wouldn't let my son cry. Like the cried out method, forget about it. We're not doing it. Angel, even with Angel, we're not doing it. And so whenever he cried a lot. So whenever he cried, I'm like, I would jump and I would run over to get him. So when I had to go back into work, I remember just crying like, oh my God, my baby. Like, are they going? No one can love my baby the way I loved him.
Yeah.
Um, However, I was like the director over that program, so my schedule was flexible. So I'll only have to be in maybe 4 hours, and then I'll go back home. And then currently, my job has been such a blessing.
Uh-huh.
The same thing. I work partially remote, and then I also go in. So I'm able to bring my daughter in on Wednesdays with me to the office. We have like devotional. This is like a time just to like worship, pray, or whatever. Like as an organization, we come together that day. But most of my meetings I do remote with the churches I meet or the police department, whoever I'm meeting with, is remote. And then if they want me to come into the office, I'll go in. My job is very flexible. It allows me to be able to go out, but then also be a mom and not feel guilty that I'm not spending time with her during these early years or the early stages of her life. So.
Yeah. So when you went back to work when your son was 3 months, what did you do then? Did he go to like daycare or you had family watch him?
So we had people from our church. So we had two beautiful, beautiful young ladies. I think they were 23 and maybe 25 at the time. And I've been at this church at that time, maybe like 8 years. So I watched them grow up from little girls to young ladies. And
Mm.
so they came to our home and they watched our son. And we had like cameras. We literally installed cameras like out in the open. And I'm like, it's not that I don't trust you, is that I had a lot of extensive trauma as a little girl. I need to make sure I can see him. Like
Right.
I've never left him more than like 30 minutes.
Right.
Um, so in fact, when I had my son, I started having complications when I came home, and like it was really bad. I had to go to the hospital. And I would have rather died than to leave him, And that I'm like, I never left him. I can't, And so then my mom came all the way from Wellington at that time, and she was like,
Okay.
"You have to go to the hospital." And I'm like, I can't do it. Um, and but then she was like, hold his sock, hold his little baby sock, and let's go to
Uh-huh.
the hospital. I remember just being in the hospital just crying. So these young ladies at our church,
Yeah.
they knew who I was. They actually looked up to me and they were like so sweet. So they watched our son. I called them 1,000 times and they were just so helpful in this process. And they also still watch our sons, I mean, our children now when we ask them for help. So that's always a blessing. That's a blessing.
That's great. So you're really dedicated to motherhood, and you sounds like you were mostly their provider, like the full time or the
Yeah.
main caretaker in the family. And
Yes.
then, did you ever hear comments like "you don't do anything all day," or like "what you do is not that hard," or like "you have so much time, how come this didn't get done," like that kind of thing?
Ooh, girl. People who have never had two children, young children in diapers at the same time, had a lot to say about, well, you need to do this. And they had a lot of commentary. And in
Uh-huh.
my head, I'm like, well, if you've never been in my position, you can't comment on what
Right.
it is. And I know for me, I pride myself on being an amazing mother and an amazing wife. And so, like my husband, he works like on power lines. So his job is dangerous. And so he's not up in the middle of the night with Angel and she still wakes up. I
Mhm.
do that and I still work. Um and recently actually I heard a comment, someone said, well, you both work. Yes, we do. However, one's up almost 24 hours off the day, nonstop with no break. And
Right.
so like to hear things like that is very, I think it's hard, it's upsetting. Especially if you can't walk in my shoes. And I know that I want to take good care of my husband and my kids. Because if any of them, if my husband or our kids get sick, I'm the one taking care of them. But if I get sick, who's taking care of me? I'm so sorry. Can I just go run
Yeah.
over? I'm so sorry.
Go ahead. Okay. She's gonna take a short break. So we were just talking about, some of the comments that you hear being a mom. I've experienced it too. It's like you don't do anything all day. With being a stay-at-home mom or working from home, working remotely while also having young kids at home is one of the most challenging jobs ever. And it's like you don't get a break. When you're working in the office, you get a lunch break, you get a break
Mhm.
on the drive to work, on the drive home from work, you get like maybe a 15-minute break, maybe. When you're home with kids, you get no break. And it's people don't understand that. Like you're home, yeah, and it's nice to be home, but it is stressful and you have to be attentive 100% of the time or something can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. You are
Yeah.
so right. You are so
No, it's so much it's like anxiety inducing because you're like, I have to be constantly
mhm,
on. It's like having a meeting for 12 hours.
mhm,
Okay.
mhm. Yes.
So you said your mom lives in Wellington. Do you have any other family that's close by that helps you with the babies, the kids?
Um, my husband's mom lives in I guess Hypoluxo, so I think that's maybe like Lake Worth. I'm not sure.
Mhm. What in
And so,
Georgia?
but she has a lot of health complications, and so she typically is not able to help
Mhm.
because of, like when if you're sick, you can't really be there emotionally or physically for the kids. And then my husband's father lives, I guess maybe Royal Palm,
Uh-huh.
and I know that he's more amped to help with them. However, I'll prefer a woman, and
Oh, yeah, yeah. When they're young. Yeah.
yes, I'll prefer a woman because there's nothing like you know um
Maternal
just
instinct.
people able to help. One's tender and nurturing, and the other's kind of a little firm.
Yeah.
So, but they do like come by if I need. Like my husband goes away for work. Like if there's a storm, he leaves. So I'm here with
Mhm.
both the kids. Um, and that happened recently. There was a storm, maybe I want to say like September or November, and my husband had to leave, and then something was wrong with our sliding glass door, and I'm like, I don't know, it keeps opening. I don't know how to fix it. And they literally, both of them came down. They're separated, but they came down and they were able to help me with the door. So like if I needed them or it was in a bind, I know that I could like drop them off, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, but it have to be like the perfect circumstance. Like if I have a meeting, I had dropped Angel off one time with my mother-in-law for an hour and a half so I can do this meeting with my team during December. And then my father-in-law, he helped me one time with my son. Um, I had a church presentation, and Jahil, like he's not able to sit through like 3 services. You know, that's that's low
That's a
for
lot
anybody.
for a
So
toddler.
yeah, he had my father-in-law took my son and they went grocery shopping and then they went to like this jumping place. But not to mention, I had like the utmost anxiety because Jahil has never been with his grandfather by himself without like me or my husband. So I'm
Yeah.
calling, I'm trying to text him like, "Hey, is everything okay?" And my father-in-law is not answering the phone. And I'm saying like, "Somebody please help me! Like I can't get a hold of my father-in-law. I need to make sure Jahil's okay." And I know they think I'm like crazy, like I'm his grandpa. I'm not gonna hurt him. But because
Yeah.
of my background, like my working background, and also
Uh-huh.
my lived experience,
Mhm.
it makes me like super helicopter mom. I'm always like questioning everybody, their motives. I don't care what your title is, what you do, who you are. I'm always like second guessing everybody. So I know that kind of like pushes people away. Like I don't want to even deal with Unique or her kids because um, you know, she's always looking at me side eye.
No, I get it. I get it. I don't leave my kids with my kids. My one feels like two,
And
but
she's so
I just
like
got one.
adorable.
I don't leave her with very many people. Her dad and her grandmother, and her
Mhm.
dad is like just a couple hours, and her grandmother could be like up to like 3 days. That's it. So she
Okay.
could do like a couple hours with her dad, or she could do up like a weekend with her grandmother,
Yeah.
and that's about it. So I totally get it. I totally
Hey,
get it.
that's a blessing though. Like that's a blessing that you guys are you have like that like support like your husband like her father like that's wonderful. But you to get that break like you can send her to I think it's your mom, right?
Yeah.
Um she's one healthy lady. But
I call her the MVP, the real most valuable player. Yeah,
she
on this
is.
team. Yeah, for
She
sure.
is, she is. But to get that break to like to like recalibrate your mind yourself because although she's like gonna be 4 in August, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Our kids are like a week apart,
The
I
same
think.
age. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think that's great. And I think like that support is needed. And we don't like me and we don't have that. Um and I think that is difficult. Um, is difficult to not have that support. Like you may like we like again, it has to be a real special circumstance if I can
Mm-hmm.
get them to watch, Jahil or Angel because it's life. But that's amazing to hear that you have that.
Yeah. So I know you said that you are particular with who you will leave your kids with, but has there been any other like external influences that will say, I don't want us to use nannies, or I don't want us to use a babysitter or a daycare, or I don't want them in preschool before a certain age? Like some cultures, they don't send their kids until like 3 or 4. They just think it's too soon for that.
Yes, I definitely have that thought and that mindset. When
Mhm.
it came to my son Jahil, so we had those 2 young ladies, Janae and Jeremy. They watched our kids, well, Jahil until he was like 9 months. Then one got engaged and the other one changed like careers. So we were
Mhm.
faced with like, okay, we have to put him into daycare. But my husband at that time was like, you can just be a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, we got pregnant 3 months into our marriage. So our
Uh-huh.
second our anniversary. So it was a lot of adjusting and it's in the middle of COVID. So he's telling me I can be a stay-at-home mom. I'm pregnant. And then and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. So then we revisit this conversation when Jahil was 9 months. And I'm like, I don't want to lose myself. I don't want to lose who I am. Like,
Mhm.
I was amazing, like single, but I'm also even more amazing now. And so
Mhm.
I didn't do that. We put him into daycare when he was about 9 to 10 months. And when
Okay.
I tell you, we just paid this daycare just to say that he was enrolled there because he went there maybe 1 or 2 days and he was sick the rest of the month. And then so then we just removed him. We removed him and we're
Mhm.
like, we're gonna
Mhm.
try to get that one. Because my job's
Mhm.
like, you have to, and you have to go into work or go into the office. And so we removed him again and we put him back in that one. And like nothing like having your own family or someone that like you know what I'm saying? Like, they go to this church, their background, their last name.
Yeah.
Um, and so I hate it. I hated everything about putting him in daycare. Um, because it's like, yeah, these people are very nice when you're dropping them off, but what happens when they're frustrated? They have is 2 to like 12, I think it was for the little kid room, the little baby room, and so it was
Oh,
very
the
yeah.
amount of kids are in there between 2 to 12 kids in the room.
Yes, like
Okay.
the ratio was so intense, and I'm like, I struggle with just one.
One.
And then you have
Really, 1 to 1. I say you need 2 adults per kid. I need two
yes,
adults for one
yes,
kid. So if I
yes.
blink, I got another person that is eyes on because you can't blink with kids. You can't sneeze,
Exactly.
bathroom, nothing. That's why you need 2 adults per one.
Exactly. And they have them in there, so like all these little people, they're running around. And so like he got sick a lot. And because he went into daycare so early, he had to have like a surgery. Like he started getting ear infections, like chronic
Oh,
ear
yeah.
infections. And like abnormal. Like he would start having fevers between like 102 to
Mhm.
106. And so like, and it was every weekend we were going to the hospital. Like it was just the craziest thing. And so we did stick it out when he had to have a surgery to remove like to put tubes in his ears and remove his adenoids. And when that happened, I think he was like 1.5. He became a new baby. Like he started getting sick. He was super, super duper healthy. Um, and so me and my husband made a vow, like, okay, you know what? We're not gonna put our babies into daycare until after 1 years old. And so we were blessed this time around with Angel when I got pregnant out of nowhere. Um, I was 8 months pregnant, and I was taking my son to daycare. And there was an old couple, like super old, but I was watching them in the car because I was too big to get up. So I was trying to prepare my mind to move my body to get. And so I watched them and I came out the car. I was bringing my son, bring him inside. And I was like, you know what? I said, do you want to adopt a grandchild? Because we need a grandparent. We need grandparents. I'm pregnant. I got this little kid. I want to remove him from this daycare. And they were like, oh, sweetie, this is my great great grandson, is what she said to me. I'm like, oh, really? And she looked amazing. I knew she was older, but I knew she looked amazing. And so just me like being like jokingly about that, she told me that that's what she did. That was her profession. She was
Oh,
a
okay.
nanny
Mhm.
in her career for like
Oh, okay.
kids. And so she told me, she's like, but sweetheart, I'm retired.
Oh.
And so I was like, we're faced back with that question: should I just quit my job and be a stay-at-home mom? And honestly, that's what I wanted to do. At that point, with when I was pregnant with Angel, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but it financially just wasn't a good time. We couldn't do that, and right there, it just wasn't
Yeah.
good. And so, long story short, she agreed. Like I ran to her husband the other, like maybe a week later. He was like, sorry. He was like, how did you know to ask my wife, to, watch your baby, right? And Angel wasn't born yet. I was like, I don't
Mhm.
know. I just felt led to, say that. He was like, ask her again. And I
Oh,
was like,
okay.
okay. And so I asked her again. She's like, sweetheart, I'll pray about it. I'll pray. That's how she speaks too. And so, I told my I ran home. I was like, Stefan, remember that old couple I told you about? She said she would pray about it. And he's like, oh, okay, not thinking anything of it, not thinking I'll actually even really do it because of like just who I am.
Yeah.
I don't know these people, like it's a random
Yeah.
couple. And so long story short, she actually became Angel's babysitter. And the biggest blessing, like financially, it was what we could afford. She
Uh-huh.
was so gentle, she was Christian the way, like that's our belief. And she watched Angel for a few hours out the week. So maybe like she'll come in for a few hours, three times out the week. So I can do what I need to do, like any meetings I can do, I will schedule in between that time so she can watch Angel. And so I think she started to come like around when Angel was 5 months. So like she would come, we would do like a trial run here and there, but it didn't start until Angel was 5 months, and she still watches Angel a few hours out the week now. And however, we just had that conversation today that we're going to put her in daycare because she's a little bit older. So Angel's getting ready is she's moving, and it's a little difficult when you're older when instead of putting a baby next to you.
Yeah.
So we're going to try the daycare route again. Um, and yeah, so that's where we're at. So we do have that support with daycare, and then with Miss Yvonne, our babysitter. She calls herself nanny, but we call her babysitter because we're not that bougie.
Yeah, well, hopefully this time around it's a much easier experience and she
Yes.
doesn't get as sick as your son did.
Yes, no, absolutely. And like I'm looking. We haven't had like the best I guess luck with daycares,
Uh-huh.
because what I didn't say either is the first daycare my son was at, a teacher texted me, and she was like, hey, I hate to let you know this, but this teacher right here, she is hitting and pinching your son. And I'm like, what? And she was like, yeah, but please don't say I said anything. It's just like, I don't know, like she's getting ready to retire and all this stuff. And and I was 8 months pregnant. So that's why what made me ask that old paper person, like, hey, I don't know what we're gonna do. Like, and so long story short, I called DCF, like, you're gonna be hitting my baby. Um, and I showed them the text messages from the teacher, and then the DCF worker or the CPI worker was like, well, I'm pretty sure what she's gonna say is she's gonna like recant everything, because if she saw this was happening for a while, why now say something? And so pretty much the teacher recanted everything, and then that case was unfounded. But we removed our son from that daycare and we put him in a new daycare. And this is probably, I was desperate and I couldn't like physically handle my then 2 year old and being so far along in my pregnancy, and I didn't have like support down here. So we found this daycare, and I'm telling you, those children, they were wild in this daycare. The daycare he was coming from was so structured. They had jazz
Uh-huh.
playing through the halls. Like it was wonderful. Um, and so, and again, like now I'm like, oh my God, like he's coming from someone already pinching and hitting him. We don't do that. Like we're not pinching our son. And so I know those teachers were sick and tired of me. I would just pop up randomly, like
At the new place.
yes, at the new place, pop up randomly. Look, I was in labor. We had Angel at home, and
Oh, that sounds
in
nice.
labor, I was calling the school like, "Is Jahil okay?" Like they were like, "You're in labor and you're calling about your son." Yes, but but yeah, he's still there actually. I have now a wild child, and yeah,
So
so
Angel was a complete home birth?
complete home birth,
Oh,
absolutely.
wow,
Um,
that's nice.
I knew I could do it because initially with my son, I wanted to have a natural birth.
Yeah.
But I'd never been pregnant.
Right.
I didn't know, what was going on. And then what they did was they wanted to induce my labor.
Mm.
So I was eating those contractions. I was like, it hurts. Don't get me wrong, it hurts. But they gave me Pitocin.
Mhm.
And I remember thinking I was going to die because those
Yep.
contractions were so intense. I
Hmm.
started being like, someone please help me. Like, I need help. Anybody help me. And I remember the room being filled with so many nurses and doctors, like, what's going on? And I think because I'm definitely plus size, and I was then too. I think they gave me way too much because I really thought I was gonna die. And so they gave me an epidural. And like, although it lightened the contractions in my stomach, I started having like cramps in other places.
Oh.
And so when it was time for him to come, I felt everything. So if I knew I went in initially feeling everything with Jahil, I knew I could do it this time around too. So we didn't go to the hospital. We had a midwife, we had a doula. Um, I was in labor with Angel from the 13th of March to the 15th of March,
At
and
home?
at home.
Oh my God.
And it was every 10 minutes for 1 minute, I'll have a contraction for those 2 days. And then I kept telling the doula, like, hey, I promise you I'm having contractions, you know. And she's like, well, did this fall out? Did you have this symptom? And I'm like, no, nothing fell out. I'm telling you though, like. So I'm timing it. And so on the 15th, on March 15th, around 2 o'clock in the morning, she comes. She's like, I want you to eat something, eat breakfast. And like, when you have contractions, you ain't trying to eat.
Yeah.
And like, I was food made up motivated my whole time. Actually, I ate like this candy and sugar the whole, because I couldn't eat protein. She was really different. But she came, she started putting essential oils like in my face and rubbing it and rubbing my back, and she would have me get in different positions, and I walk the floor. And so then I think around like 10 o'clock in the morning, that's when the midwife came. The dude was like, okay, you know what? I think she's ready. The contractions are now every 6 minutes. So from 10 minutes down to 6 minutes.
Hmm.
I tell you that midwife came in there at 10 o'clock, and like she was like, let me see how far dilated you are. She did something, and I promise you, the contractions are coming like every minute. And I was like, oh no. But yeah, like Angel came, I was standing up, and Angel, like, I was kind of like squatting, and I'm like, oh, okay. I say, I know it's time now. And Angel lady came, oh, I was standing up, and they caught her, and I was
Oh
like,
my
oh, thank
God.
you, Jesus. Yeah, so that's what.
Wow. That's amazing. I wanted to do an at-home birth, but my
Yeah.
family was like, mm-mm. My mom, her dad, my cousins, they were like, no, ma'am.
Really?
No, ma'am.
So is it not traditional in like
No,
your family, or just oh
no, they
no.
wanted me in a hospital. So I was like, okay, it's like 100 against one right now.
Oh my god. Look, I'm a rebel, so I'll go against the grain. Like, if someone tells me I can't do something, I'm gonna prove them wrong. And also prove to myself that I could do it as well. So people are like,
Yeah.
you think you're plus size, then you're black, the mortality rate for a
Yeah.
black woman.
Yeah.
And then I actually had a black doctor like really trying to persuade me. She was like, listen, I'm already telling you it's not a good idea. You don't know what can happen, this, that,
Yeah.
and the third. And I was like, no, like, my mind's made up. And nothing was wrong with my baby. Like, nothing
Right.
at all. And like, no unnecessary vaccines, like, things that like people weren't all in her face. It
Hmm.
was like the way we
Hmm.
wanted it done. And I was able to like heal and recover in the comfort of my own home. And that was like the best thing for me. And Angel too. She's agreeing with me.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. So you said your son is now in daycare and then you have help, you have support with the babysitter. So what do you do to maintain your identity? What do you do just for you, like just to remember you before you the mom?
Okay. I think, and it's kind of hard to kind of answer because I kind of struggle, but I have to keep remembering. Before being married, before having kids, I was always out in nature,
Mhm.
walking, just looking at like the trees, the plants, smelling the
Yeah,
nature, because it smells so good. It's not like I don't know, like, it's not fragrance, but it's something that God created, and I love doing that. So what I actually you helped me, Tiffanie, last year. I think it was last year. You had like that group of everyone was walking and like
Oh yeah.
and that really helped me. I started to do like 30 miles
Oh
per
yeah.
month, like walking, so
Mhm.
that really helped me get back to like something that I liked. And I also was losing weight. So maybe it was more than a year ago because Angel's one. So maybe a year and a half ago. Wow, time goes by fast. But
Mhm.
so like walking, that definitely helps me. Getting my nails done. Oh my God, I love getting my nails done. I love like feeling pretty. Um, because there's something special about me. Like, although I've had two kids and my body is completely different now, I still appreciate where I'm at in life. And so, this really does invest in myself. I have a diary that I write in, just kind of express like what I'm going through or anything, any milestones that I'm proud of.
Mhm.
And then, let me see. I don't really hang out with anyone. This the two having two kids has been like a challenge. Just to really like who wants to be left with two kids by themselves? It's not easy. So I don't want to put no one else in that position. But
Right.
just that is helpful when I do get a chance to get out and like if it's for an hour or two just to talk to anybody. I like that as well. So
Yeah. So just a couple moments of solitude and
yeah,
journaling.
yes,
That can work wonders.
exactly.
Even the
Yeah.
nail salon, I like to use the massages there. The chair.
Mm, 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 mm. Look, like there's days where I'm crawling into bed and like my body just hurts. So yesterday I was like in the massage chair and I know like the woman thought I was like probably like what's wrong with her? To get a massage, like to sit there and literally do nothing or someone just touched my
Uh-huh.
feet was so like relaxing.
Yeah.
Um, and it was just nice. Like I didn't hear no kids crying.
Right.
One was tugging on me like, "I wanna breastfeed." You know what I mean? It was it was just me. Um, and it was nice. I like reading as well. Um, like this, I read a lot of women empowerment books.
Mhm.
This season I'm in, especially like this, the different roles. Like marriage it can be difficult with little people.
Mhm.
Um, so I read a lot of like self help books like for women as well.
Okay. And how do you let go of mom guilt?
You know the like when you go on an airplane, they tell you to put
Mhm.
your face mask on before you put your child's face mask on. And
Yeah.
so what I constantly tell myself is if I can't be healthy or strong, right? And that's what my kids need that. And so I literally have to tell myself this, like, this is for me, which is going to also help them as well. And
Mhm.
so having that thought process and to continue to keep saying it to myself, that helps me to let it go. Like I need to get away. Like I need to hide in the bathroom right now because I don't want to yell at you. I don't want to scream at you know what I mean? I don't want to be something that's outrageous because I know I am overstimulated. I'm tired.
Mhm. Mhm.
Let me just get 10 minutes. You know what I mean? You might be crying, but you're not hurting, you're not starving. You know what I mean? So I have to literally like be that raw with myself to make sure that I'm good so I can be good and useful to my husband and also my kids.
Yeah, that is the truth. Exactly. With the airplane analogy example, it's the absolute truth. You have to take care of yourself before you can
Yes.
have the energy to take care of anyone else.
Yes.
How do you feel about some of the social media or online communities? Like, what role do they play in your motherhood experience?
You know, when I first had my son, there was another group. I did really well with the groups, some
Uh-huh.
like the support groups, and like everyone happened to have a baby around the same age, like. And so she had this group, and like we'll meet every week, and we'll just talk about like mom life or a struggle, and then we'll give each other advice, and that was so beneficial for me because again, I had
Mhm.
baby blues and I had postpartum, all
Mhm.
and I'm newly married, And
Uh-huh.
so that was so helpful. Now where I find myself at, looking at different parenting, because again, my background is child welfare, and I was in foster care, so I don't want the things that was done to me to be done to my now toddler, who can talk back and run away, and you know what I mean, like,
Yeah.
and has his own, he's learned to express himself. So I'm looking, I love being a part of the community to help you how to respond to your children, in a way that is not traumatizing to them. Like yelling at kids creates children who are extremely anxious. So I don't want to do that. So literally, like, surrounding myself and feeding myself with those different nuggets and different insights is so helpful right now. Um, because, but again, I don't want my son to think that he's no longer important or special, and I don't want my daughter to think that she's not important or special. But learning to find that balance and on how to parent during these times is so important. So I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, sometimes we get some of our values from our parents, or sometimes we see them do things and we're like, that is, that's a different time or that's a different generation. Are there things that you took, parenting models or advice that you took from your parents? Are there things that you saw them do and you reject that your parenting is different?
Yes. My mom, and I didn't live with my mom, so a little backstory. I lived with my mom. I was in foster care the first 7 years of my life. So my grandparents raised me and my siblings. And when I got older, I think around like 16 or 17, I moved with my mom. And she always, no, I don't care how small or insignificant the conversation was, she will always say, I love you. I love you. Like just random, good morning, I love you, or hang on, I
Mhm.
love you. And I thought that was so special because I grew up in a home. I thought I knew my grandparents loved me, but you didn't hear that. Like that's not
Yeah.
something that you heard. So I instilled that in my life. I'm constantly telling my kids I love them, my husband I love them. And so when I first got married with my husband, even before we got married, I was like, I love you. And he was like, why are you constantly saying this to me? But I thought it was so special because you never know what's going to happen in someone's life. And I always want them to know, like, yeah, I may fail, I may do bad, but no matter what, I love you. I love who you are as a person. I love, like, I even love your small, like your outbursts, or whatever it is. And yesterday,
Yeah.
I knelt down to my son. I did not see him all day, so I dropped him off at daycare. I went to work, and then I wanted to get some self care time while Jahil's in daycare, and then Angel was at home with the babysitter. And so I got home late, so around 7 o'clock, and he's already fed in the bath, everything. And so my husband will take him for a drive, and I'm like, "Come here, Jahil." And I got down I knelt down, got eye level with him, and I was like, Jahil, I love you. And I said, I love
Aw.
your nose, I love your eyes. And he just ate it up. Like he was like, oh, mommy. And I'm like, give me a hug. I'm like, how was your day? And he was just so like happy. Like I could cry talking about it because I
Aw.
just saw how that was so special for him. And it
Yeah.
was for me as well, because I didn't have that. And so to give that to him is wonderful. And even to my daughter, like although she may not actually understand, I know she feels that she is so loved. Like all she does is smile. But I definitely instill that into my parenting.
Yeah, your husband is watching too, and he dropped a comment here that you are quite sexy. So I
I
just
saw that. Thank you, Stefan. And he told me he liked my hair like this too. So do
That's
something
cute.
new. Oh, he seems so sweet.
Yes.
Now I'm nervous now. So.
Well, thank you for talking with us. And we enjoyed the conversation. This was great. I learned a lot about you, and I totally understand the mother that you are. And it all makes sense now. And
Mhm.
it's great. And I'm glad that you could share your experiences.
Yes, absolutely. And again, thank you for having us. It is an honor because I truly do not believe that we are placed in situations just for ourselves, but for
Mhm.
also everyone else. So yeah, I just pray if anyone's listening or watching or watching that what I really pray that you get out of this is that love the small moments, even the difficulty, because it goes by so fast, and you're going to get through it. And that women, we're so powerful, and we're strong because we have something deep inside of us that always gets us through to that
Right.
next moment, and that you can do it. You're special.
Great. All right. So if you guys liked what you saw here, remember to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And we will definitely see you next time.